How's it going, everybody? Pokemaster Kenny here, and today I'm going to be going over my Obstagoon Inteleon deck. This deck was really just formed off of theory that ended up turning to, I'm going to build it IRL, going to locals, smacking them left and right, and then playing it in an online event to get put in an online event that played way on to like 7 in the morning from like the previous day, and I just wasn't having it. I didn't feel like playing it out, and I hit one really bad matchup and then one unfortunate matchup that was like really good for me, but I drew suboptimally. But this is my Obstagoon deck. Now, the reason why I feel like this Obstagoon deck could be something is because of the versatility that it has right now in the meta, being dark. Dark, for those who don't know, is a very, very relevant weakness, and Obstruct Obstagoon is very decent right now. Obstruct Obstagoon has the ability Untamed Shower. When you evolve into it, you put 3 counters on one of your opponent's Pokemon, and then the attack Obstruct does 90 damage, and then any of your opponent's basic Pokemon next turn cannot hit the Obstagoon for damage, which is actually pretty interesting. You auto-win Reggie, you auto-win things like Miltank Blissey, because they just genuinely can't get around you unless they go like Rope Boss or Boss multiple times in a row and stick you. But this deck was mainly to slay Palkia and Mew, along with Reggie, Blissey, and Miltank, so anything Arceus kind of is very sketchy, and that was the one unfortunate loss I had to take was Malamar Arceus. I would have beat a Mew. I don't remember. I think it was Mew. It was some other deck, but my power went out because there was a storm that day. So I was just like, you know what? My game ended. I'm done. I'm just done for the night. You can have the win. But the deck ran really smooth. So we run a 4-1-2-1 split between the Obstagoons. The Obstagoon on here, the Fusion Strike 1, does 150 damage if your opponent already has a damage counter on it for a single Dark, which one-shots Mew if they have a Dark. And I bet you're wondering, well, Kenny, the problem with this before was you couldn't one-shot it without having damage counters on it on Mew. Well, that's where Temple of Sinnoh comes in, where it cancels out special energy effects. So you're able to just go Temple of Sinnoh into Zigzagoon, and then Zigzagoon ping, and boom, now the Mew is a goner, which makes it pretty cool. Silence is also a very cool inclusion in here with the attack, because it just prevents Arceus from using its attack, or you could prevent other things from using their attacks, which is actually pretty neat. And then we play a 4-3-2 line of Inteleon. Quick Shooting is a niche card in this deck. I'd say you want to shoot for consistency because it is a stage 2 deck relying on another stage 2 if anything. So Quick Shooting is nice, but when you play 4 Zigzagoons, 4 Nets, and a Carrier and a Rod, your odds of like getting those Zigzagoon pings on there are pretty good. You can see a copy of Amalga from Evolving Skies on here. Shout out to John Mostovi for that idea. It is a free retreat. It's not only a free retreat pivot, but it's also very good against anything Palkia or anything weak to lightning, because the attack does 30 damage, and then flip a coin if has your opponent's paralyzed. With a choice belt, you are hitting a Palkia for, get this, 120 damage, which is so insane. And if you paralyze flip them, it could be detrimental for them, forcing them to play a rope, a switch, or some other cross switchers to tag a one prizer. And guess what that Amalga is doing? It's coming right back up. But the biggest counter to the Palkia matchup is the Raikou V. We all know Raikou V has been popping up a lot recently, or that baby Zeraora. The reason why I don't play Zeraora is because of Tool Jammer being around, and Tool Jammer plus against Choice Belt, Super Effective Goggles, like any of that, just completely nullifies the fact that Zeraora is even there, which is why I play Amalga as free retreat pivot. But Raikou does 20 plus 20 for each of both players' bench Pokemon. He also has a Fleetfoot ability, which draws a card, which is also a very good ability if you accidentally start with it, as opposed to Zeraora, where, Zeraora has free retreat, but you can get an extra card out of a deck that may clunk early on. But the main focus of the deck that I wanted, that really came to fruition when it came to the theory, is Irida. Irida is a new supporter card where it searches your deck for a water Pokemon and an item card. So the theory was, I wonder what stage 2s would pair well with Irida, because you're able to go into Drizzile and then grab rare candy, or whatever, Drizzle for the piece that you're missing, like an Evolution Incense or Energy Search, and it just kind of went from there, and it worked out pretty well. I was able to get Irida plays off a lot. Being able to consistently get turn 2 Obstagoons or turn 2 Inteleon into other things. So We got 2 Raihan to combat that. Kind of does the same thing as Irida, but it's also to put an energy on and just load up a Raikou instantly. So we got 1 boss, 1 Bruno, 1 Piers, 1 Marnie, 1 Research. Everything felt fine in this deck. I would probably add 1 more draw supporter because there is only 3 of them. So if you really if you really wanted to add another card, it would probably be another draw supporter. 4 level ball, 4 scoop up net, pretty damn easy choices in this deck. 3 evolution incense. Oh, almost wanted 4, but I felt like 3 was completely fine in this deck, especially with the Piers. 3 rare candy. A lot of people ask, why don't you play 4? Well, because I'm not a masochist. If you play 4 rare candies, you almost certainly have to drop the Linoon, and I'm not about to just completely lose to me bricking and not finding both pieces at once. Being able to level ball search the Linoon and then evolve and then possibly Raihan or Irida rare candy is pretty good. Got 2 copies of Quick Ball. I played 1. I played none. Didn't really work out. 1 and 2. 2 felt fine. Got a Pal Pad. That was more of a flex card, but since you play so many supporter cards, you gotta play it, and it actually came in use a couple times. 1 Rescue Carrier, of course, because everything in your deck minus Inteleon and Obstagoon and Raikou are 90 HP, so you can just pick up everything after an Avery play and just drop everything back down, or in case some things got knocked out pretty early. Got 1 Energy Search, just to search out the energies. Almost played 2. This deck could easily play 65 cards, but it's just like you can't. Got 1 Hisuian and Heavy Ball in case you prize the Raikou, because Raikou against Palkia is very, very, very good. It is your go-to game plan. If you don't, you might struggle a little bit in order to even beat that matchup. Silence is really, really neat in order to get there, but in order to one-shot things like Palkia, you're going to have to play, the choice about Emolga, but then you're leaving yourself open to cross-switcher, switch, escape rope, etc. Raikou is just an easy, instant response to it. We got 1 rod to shuffle things back, and 1 copy of super effective goggles, which a lot of people questioned why I wouldn't just play another choice belt, and I'll tell you why. Obstruct Obstagoon can one-shot Mew VMAX. If you ask Zach Estridge or Zeester, I played him in the first round. The reason why I beat him was turn 2 Obstagoon. He knocked out a Zigzagoon and I had to discard 1. I went Rare Candy into Obstruct Obstagoon, Raihan attach, knockout with Obstruct with a super effective goggles because he chose to shuffle the VMAX back, putting him at the only Mew V and promoted it he didn't drop down another Mew V and kept 2 Meloettas on the field, didn't attack with them yet, and shuffled his only VMAX back and we shuffled the only V back and promoted the VMAX thinking that I couldn't get it because the only real out I had, because I believe I had to pitch 2 Fusion Obstacles right away, was the other one. And he didn't see it. He didn't see the Obstruct or the Untamed Shout plus Zigzagoon plus Temple plus super effective goggles play, and he ended up scooping from there because there was absolutely no way he was getting around that. I also had Boss in hand, so if he put down another Mew, it would get almost knocked out immediately. So that game was lost. So that super effective goggles in here is pretty good. Aside from that one scenario when it comes to Mew VMAXs, you could argue is probably not needed because it doesn't really do anything. But then we got 1 choice belt to make up the difference. 2 Temple of Sinnohs. A lot of people suggested 3. Can't fit it. It's a flex card at the 3rd one. And then 4 Dark and 2 Lightning. I thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and like for more content. If you want to see more decks like this, please post them in the comment section below. Until then, guys.